In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the 570ms calculator to evaluate the derivatives of functions at specific values and also to find or to solve definite integrals. Now let's look at the first lesson, which is finding derivatives at specific values. Consider this question. In this question, we are required to find the derivative of this function x squared minus x plus 2 when x equals to 1. To solve this question using the 570ms calculator, we need to use this function, d by dx function. So to activate this, we need to press this button, shift, and then followed by this one. Then this derivative symbol will appear on the screen. What we need to do next is to key in this function, x squared minus x plus 2, in the calculator. So to include this x squared in the calculator, we press alpha, this button, and then followed by this button. Notice that at the top of this button we have the letter x. Next, we need to include this power 2. So to do that, we need to press this button. To key in this expression, which is negative x, we just press here the negative sign or minus sign, and then followed by alpha and then x. Next, we need to include this term plus 2. So go to this button, press it, and then this button 2. Once we have inserted the terms of the function, what we need to do next is to include this number x equals to 1. To include this value x equals to 1, what we need to do is to press this button, comma, and then followed by this value 1 to represent x equals to 1. Then we press this equal button to get the answer. So it tells us that the derivative of this function x squared minus x plus 2 when x equals to 1 is this value 1. Okay, now let's solve another question, which is the derivative of ln of x to the power of 2x at x equals to 2. So we need to use the derivative function, press shift, and then followed by this button. Notice that the whole expression here, which is this function ln of x or natural log of x, is to the power of 2x. So what we need to do is we press this button, open bracket button, then press this ln button that represents the natural log function. Next, we need to key in the variable x, press alpha, and then followed by this button. Next, close the bracket and then press this button to indicate that we are going to key in the power of the function. The power of this function is 2x, so we need to include this 2x inside the bracket as well. So we press this open bracket button and then followed by number 2, and then press alpha. After that, we press this button to display the variable x. Next, we close the bracket. So this is how you key in the inputs for ln of x, the whole expression to the power of 2x in the calculator. Next, we need to include this value x equals to 2. To do this, we press this button, comma, then followed by this value 2 to represent x equals to 2. After that, we press this close bracket button to show that we have inserted all the inputs for the question. Next, we need to press this equal button to get the answer. So the answer is approximately equals to 0.4968. Okay, now let's try another one, which is finding the derivative of this function 4x cubed multiplied by secant x when x equals to pi over 3. Notice that this function involves the trigonometric function secant x, and this value here x equal to pi over 3 doesn't have any degree sign. So this tells us that this value x equals to pi over 3 is in radian or real number. So we have to make sure that our calculator here is set in mode radian instead of the mode degree. To change or to set our calculator in mode radian, we need to press this button 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. To activate the mode radian, we press 2. Now the display has changed to R. It means that our calculator is now set in mode radian. Now we can key in the inputs for the derivative of the functions. We activate the derivative function first. We press this button, shift, followed by this button. Next, we need to include this term 4x cubed in the calculator. So we just press 4 and then press alpha and then press this button X. To key in the power 3, there are two ways that you can use. Either we press this button followed by this value 3 to represent the power 3, or another way is to press shift and then press this button. Notice that at the top of this button there is a symbol x cubed. What we need to do next is to include this function secant x in the calculator. However, this calculator doesn't support the feature to display the function secant x directly. So what we need to do is to make use of the trigonometry identity and also the features available here, which are sine, cos, tangent, to help us to represent the function secant x. Recall that according to the trigonometry identity, secant x is equal to 1 over cos of x. So we press open bracket and then 1 over, or you can also use this division symbol, then cos. After that, press alpha and then press this button to display the variable x, and then press this button again to display the close bracket. So this is how you key in the input for 4x cubed multiplied by secant x. This 1 over cos x represents the function secant x. So what we need to do next is to include the value x, which is pi over 3, in the calculator. So to do this, we press this button, comma, and then followed by the value pi over 3. To key in the value pi, we press this button shift and then followed by this button exp. Notice that at the top of this button there is the symbol pi. Next we press divide or over, then 3, and press this close bracket button. What we need to do next is to press this equal sign to get the answer. So the answer is approximately equals to 42.2314. Now we move on to the second lesson, or the second objective, which is finding definite integrals using the 570 MS calculator. Consider this question: the integration of x cubed minus 2x with respect to x from the lower limits -1 to the upper limits 2. To solve this question using the calculator, we need to activate the integral function or integral feature first. To activate the feature, we press this button, this integral operator symbol. Next, we need to include this term, x cubed. To include the expression x cubed, we press this alpha and then followed by this button to display the variable x. Next, we need to press shift and then followed by this button to display the power 3. To insert this term negative 2x, we just press this minus button and then 2 and then alpha and then x. Once we have inserted the function, which is x cubed minus 2x, what we need to do next is to include the lower limits and also the upper limits of the integration. To do that, we press this comma button and then followed by the values -1 and then press comma. Next, press the value 2. We need to press the lower limits first and then followed by the lower limits. After that, we press this close bracket button. To get the answer, we press this equal sign. So the answer is 0.75, or you can also display the result in fraction. The result is 3/4. Now let's try another one, which is finding the derivative of x squared multiplied by e to the x with respect to x from 1 to 2. So as usual, we need to activate the integral operator first by pressing this button. What we need to do next is to include this function, which is x squared e to the x. So to key in the function, we press alpha and then followed by this button to display the variable x, and then press this button to display the square, and then we have e to the x. There are two ways to display the exponential function, or e to the x. Either you press alpha then followed by this button ln. Notice that at the top of this ln button there is a symbol e, this red e. If we use this way to display the exponential function, we need to use this symbol in order to display the power, and then alpha followed by this button. So this is how you display, or you key in the exponential function for e to the x if you want to use this symbol, this feature, red e. Another way to display the exponential function is to use this feature, which is e to the x, this brown color. To activate this feature or this function, we press shift and then followed by this button. So when using this feature, we don't have to press this button in order to display the power of e. We just need to directly key in the power for e, which is in this case x. So to activate it, we just press alpha and then followed by this button. Let's say the function is in this form, e to the power of 2 plus x. So to key in this expression in the calculator, we need to put brackets, then 2 plus alpha x, and then press close bracket. So this is how we key in the expression for e to the power of 2 plus x if we use this feature, this brown e to the x. If we want to use this red function to express e to the power of 2 plus x, we need to key in like this. Press alpha and then press this button. As when using this function or this feature, we need to use this symbol to indicate that we are going to include the power for e, and then press this open bracket, press 2 plus alpha, and then this button to display the variable x, then press again to close the bracket. So this is how we key in the function for e to the power of 2 plus x using the calculator under this feature. Now let's go back to our question, which is x squared e to the x. So for this example, I use this feature, which is this brown e to the x. I press shift, this button, and then alpha x. So now I've inserted the inputs for the function x squared e to the x. Next, we need to include the limits of the integration, which are 1 and 2. So to do that, press comma and then press 1 to represent the lower limits, press comma, then press 2 to represent the upper limits of the integration. After that, we press this close bracket button and then press this equal sign to get the result of this integration. So the answer is approximately equals to 12.0598.